Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Trebas Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi, and we begin tonight with breaking news. The San Diego County District Attorney's Office has filed charges against Poway City Council member Tony Blaine, who is facing a recall. KPBS North County reporter Alexander Nguyen joins me now from the newsroom. Alex, what do we know about this?
Maya, this is the charging document that just came down this afternoon. Blaine has been charged with 4 felonies and 1 misdemeanor. The charges include perjury, asking for a bribe and soliciting a bribe, and destruction of public papers. He is currently facing a recall election for the same issues he's been charged with. John Couvret with the recall Tony Blaine campaign calls it a vindication.
This is an outcome of good people doing the right thing and saving the good stuff, the good life that we have here in Poway. And that Tony is very quickly, in his capacity, tarnishing that way of life that we have here.
Blaine was elected in December, and problems with him started almost immediately. He was censured by the Poway City Council in February, and that was the first for the city. He was sued by the city in April to force him to comply with the California Public Records Act and to stop him from destroying records. Blaine is an Army Reserve doctor who is currently deployed. In the past, his campaign manager has denied the accusation against him. Today, the campaign manager, Steve Marietti, said he has no comment at this time. The DA's office says Blaine's arraignment is set for November 3rd. That's the day before the special election. Live in the newsroom, Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
Young climate activists say planet warming emissions are affecting their lives. They want polluters to be held accountable. KPBS environment reporter Tammy Murga spoke with local high school students who are pushing for a strategy.
Hours after the Border 2 fire erupted on Otay Mountain in January, ash reached Hilltop High School in Chula Vista. Maria Echevarria is a junior there.
That whole school day was like extremely bad for everyone. Everyone had like headaches. We saw like the ash kind of like rain and stuff.
Wildfires, floods, and heat waves are becoming more common as climate change intensifies. Echevarria says oil and gas companies are generating pollution that's driving climate change. She says there's a state bill that could hold industries financially accountable.
The Polluters Pay Superfund, what it is that superfund that is aimed to make big oil corporations pay for the damages that they have caused.
Echevarria and hundreds of students across California walked out of their classrooms today to bring attention to the proposal. Students from 19 San Diego County schools were expected to participate.
The money's going to go into the restorative and conservation efforts that the state of California is kind of like hoping to pursue.
University City High School student Haley Ross and her schoolmate Kaylee Tichenor are hopeful lawmakers are listening.
That we're showing our leaders that youth are paying attention and we care, and we will not stay silent while our future is on the line.
The proposal remains stalled in state committees. Tammy Murga, KPBS News.
Weather headlines here as we head throughout the next couple of days, throughout the weekend. Overall, it's been a relatively consistent pattern here for us. I'm still tracking sunny skies and mild conditions. Overall, yes, the weather is looking great for both Saturday and Sunday. I am tracking a low chance of rain, primarily to the north, but we will see some rain chances there in that extended forecast. I'll update that extended forecast coming up in just a bit.
President Trump says he is ending trade negotiations with Canada. The decision comes after the government of Ontario released an ad featuring a clip of President Ronald Reagan criticizing tariffs.
High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs.
In a statement, the Reagan Foundation said it believes the ad misrepresents the late president's comments. President Trump reacted on social media, calling the advertisement fake and adding that, quote, all trade negotiations with Canada are hereby terminated. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney said the country is focused on what it can control, which includes developing new partnerships and opportunities. Inflation crept up in September, further squeezing Americans' wallets, and that is according to delayed government data released today. With the government shutdown dragging on, many federal workers faced a payday without pay. And as Karen Kafer reports, millions of people could also lose out on food benefits.
Consumer prices for a range of goods rose at their fastest pace of 2025 during September, according to the Consumer Price Index report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Inflation ticked up at an annual rate of 3%. Pushing the top line number higher, gas prices, which shot up 4.1% last month. Top White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett blaming that on a decrease in refinery capacity he says has been reversed.
But we've seen those have already come down, so we're highly confident that the next number will even be below this.
But food prices are 3.1% higher than this time last year, with some staples soaring. Coffee prices up 18.9% year over year. Beef and veal prices up 14.7%. Bananas up 6.9%. Some retailers say they're trying to hold prices down to keep consumers coming back.
We're really trying to hold prices because when prices go up, nobody wins.
Meanwhile, many federal workers missed their first paycheck Friday because of the government shutdown, which is also putting November's SNAP benefits for roughly 42 million Americans at risk.
It will make us, people like myself and other individuals, have to make that hard choice. Are we going to put food on the table or have proper health care?
The government inflation data release was prompted by a government deadline to make cost of living adjustments for 2026 Social Security payments, and retirees will see a 2.8% bump in their benefits next year. In Washington, Karen Kafer, KPBS News.
Healthcare costs are also rising. Whether you are insured through your employer or the Affordable Care Act, expect to pay more. We'll break down how much coming up. Vote centers will open across San Diego County tomorrow for the November 4th special election. You can vote in person, drop off a mail-in ballot, use an accessible ballot marking device, and get help voting in multiple languages. 34 centers across the county will be open every day from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Another 34 will open on November 1st. Election officials say that's fewer vote centers than in the general election.
There's a reduction there, and that's why we're urging voters to get out there and vote early. Don't wait until the last day and be part of the long lines, right? Go ahead and take advantage of one of your options. If you do have that ballot still in hand, your mail ballot, go ahead and mark your selection, seal that ballot in your return envelope, make sure to sign and date it, and return it to any of the over 140 official ballot drop boxes located across the county or through the United States Postal Service.
The registrar has received more than 450,000 ballots so far. Voting ends at 8 p.m. on November 4th. The No Kings protest on Saturday brought tens of thousands of people to downtown San Diego. And as KPBS Public Matters reporter Jake Gada tells us, many of them rode public transportation to get there.
Tens of thousands of people gathered in downtown San Diego last Saturday for the second No Kings Day of protest. And just like for a Padres game or any other event downtown, a lot of people took transit to get there. San Diego's transit system saw a surge of riders that day. The trolley saw a 14% increase in ridership over the previous Saturday, and riders on the coaster increased by 52%. Now, plenty of people drove to the protest or found some other way to get there, but without the transit system, it would have been a lot more difficult.
What would have happened was people would have found ways to get there using the roadway system, which would have meant if you were trying to get somewhere, if you're trying to get somewhere when the rally is going to happen, you're going to go nowhere. The whole transportation system would collapse.
Dr. Lawrence Frank is a professor of urban studies and planning at UCSD. He said San Diego's transit system is a huge reason so many people could make it out to the protest without causing major problems.
It's very clear when we want to have games at Petco Park or any kind of gathering of people of any sort at all, that is what transit does.
And Legina Goss, political science professor at UCSD, said transportation options make events like No Kings Day more accessible.
By having an event in a location like the No Kings protests, where there's accessible transportation, that increases the number of groups that are able to participate.
The bigger the protest, the bigger the impact could be.
It's not just mobilizing a sign of people have been mobilized, but it's also a sign that more potential mobilization, more potential organizing is possible when you get that many people in one location.
One key to an effective protest is mass mobilization, and public transit is quite literally mobilization for the masses. Jay Gata, KPBS News.
Public Matters is a partnership with KPBS, iNewsSource, and Voice of San Diego. You can see more of our stories at kpbs.org/publicmatters.
I'm Jeff Bennett. Tonight on the NewsHour, the latest U.S. deadly attack on an alleged drug boat off the coast of Venezuela escalates tensions. That's at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
In a special meeting last night, Palomar Health Board of Directors approved creating a joint powers authority between Palomar and UCSD Health. Under the agreement, Palomar would transfer less than 50% of its assets to the JPA, including its Poway Hospital. It also establishes a $50 million line of credit for the district. The move aims to improve Palomar's financial position after recent struggles. Board member John Clark abstained from the vote last night. He says this is the start of the end for Palomar Health.
Ultimately, we're going to be owned by UC San Diego Health if everything goes to the planned agreement. Palomar Health essentially is going to go away, and then we will be just a part of the UC San Diego Health District.
Palomar says the JPA is not a takeover or merger by UCSD Health. The two health systems would work together. Leaders from both sides say the agreement will be mutually beneficial. It allows UCSD to expand to North County and Palomar to expand its services. Open enrollment is back, a time when people can enroll, renew, or change health care plans for the upcoming year. But whether you choose a health care plan through your employer or the Affordable Care Act, brace yourself for sticker shock. Maribel Gonzalez reports on how much more coverage could cost in 2026.
Okay. If you obtain health insurance through work,
the total health cost of health benefits is going to rise by 6.5% next year, and that is the highest increase we've seen in 15 years.
Beth Umlin from the consulting firm Mercer says employees will feel it through paycheck deductions, as employers may shift more health care costs to staffers.
The same health care service and good that you bought last year is going to be higher.
A survey by KFF, a nonpartisan health policy research group, found weight loss drug use is driving up costs for some larger firms.
Many of those employers told us that their spending was higher than they expected, and that the GLP-1s is making up a big part of their prescription drug spending.
Separately, Marketplace customers could see premiums more than double next year if Affordable Care Act enhanced tax credits expire.
We've been paying about $650 a month, and according to the new premiums, they would go up to about between $1,900 to $2,000 for the same plan.
Small business owner Michelle Mazer and her husband are facing tough choices.
It would either be me re-entering the workforce and shutting down my small business, or he needs to come out of retirement and go back to work.
So what can consumers do to navigate the costs?
It's kind of a joke that people typically spend less time picking out a health plan than picking out a television, but this would be a year to really focus in on all the options.
I'm Maribel Gonzalez reporting.
Neighborhood inequities play a big role in the experiences kids have in youth sports, as well as their safety. In this episode of Game Time Decision, Mikey Damron checks out the state of community parks and pools.
From early on, I made sure that Dorian was comfortable in the water. We spent a lot of time at the beach. But for some parents that might not be experienced swimmers, that could be a little bit harder. Swim lessons cost money, and wealthier kids just have more access to pools. But everyone is not that lucky. And, you know, a lot of neighborhoods don't even have pools, and the city pools aren't open all the time. Plus, a lot of families can't afford $100 to $200 for swimming lessons, and then it gets more expensive if you're trying to be on a swim team or just, you know, advanced swimming. In this series, we've been exploring the pluses and minuses of team as well as individual sports, as Dorian starts on his sports journey. In particular, we've been talking about how to make sports as safe as possible for kids. But just like so many other things, safety could depend on the resources. From football, soccer, to baseball, and just playing outside, families with more money means kids have better equipment, better experienced coach, and better parks and fields.
But there's a difference between having a park and having a good park that has facilities, that has restrooms, that has water, that has places where kids can play team sports, that has tennis courts.
And sports cost money, from equipment to travel to camps to registration. It starts to add up. The average family pays about $900 a year for one child to play one sport. And families from the wealthier households spend up to 4 times more than the low-income families.
You'll see the facilities in our communities are just, the fences are falling down. The fields have divots. You know, there's no, the grass is either brown or there's none there. So the fields are in total disarray. So the parents, they don't want to come and, you know, pay $200, $300, even sometimes $400 in a league where the field is unsafe. And the city, it's a city park, and the city's not taking care of those fields. It does hurt us in the sense that now we struggle because that team over there, the coaches can buy that kid's cleats, or you know, the kind of cleats that they want, or they have 3 uniforms, or you know, something like that.
In soccer, baseball, or basketball, wealthier families are more likely to put their children in club teams, which have better paid coaches.
The lack of quality coaches a lot of these organizations have. And I don't blame necessarily the organizations for having a lack of quality coaches, because a lot of these organizations don't have the funding to have quality coaches with quality training. I think travel ball is huge on killing these types of parks. Majority of the kids that play travel ball come from households that can afford it, right?
When you go from the park to the pool, the stakes are even higher. The disparities can mean the difference between life and death. Drowning is the #1 cause of death for all children under 4. Black children from 5 to 9 are almost 3 times more likely to die in swimming pools than white children, while black children ages 10 and above are almost 4 times as likely. And there are similar disparities for Asian, Pacific Islanders, and Hispanic children.
It's going to go back in time, back to segregation times, when Black Americans did not have access to swimming pools. And there was a huge fear factor that trickled down from generation to generation. Swimming is not culturally prioritized in every household. If you think about it, if your parents never learned how to swim, if your grandparents never learned how to swim, it's likely that they're not going to take their kids to the pool to learn how to swim either. So we need to change that. We need to introduce more kids to the pool, because we need to make sure they're safe when they get out into the ocean, where lots of drownings are happening, and drowning is happening everywhere.
And that was part 4 of Game Time Decision, produced by KPBS lead video journalist Mikey Damron. And you can watch the full story and more of the episodes online at kpbs.org/gametime. Well, soccer playoffs are coming to San Diego. Both the top-level men's and women's teams are postseason bound. KPBS reporter Jacob Ayers says their success is helping to further grow the passion for soccer in the region.
The 3-2 from Keller.
The Padres didn't make the World Series this year. But professional soccer is keeping the dreams of a sports championship alive in San Diego. San Diego FC and San Diego Wave FC are both headed to the playoffs over the next few weeks.
I think everyone's in a frenzy, and I mean that in the most exciting way, because, you know, there are many people who follow or attend both games, like myself.
Vanessa Bejarano is vice president of Frontera SD, the supporters group for SDFC. She says there are thousands of San Diegans in the group.
We have people who are, big European soccer fans, and they've got a way of doing things. We've got big Mexican League soccer fans, and the fans have a way of doing their own thing. And we here for San Diego and for like MLS, for us, it's meshing those.
This is the third time the women's side has headed to the playoffs since the Wave first formed in 2021. And it's an historic start to the men's inaugural season. SDFC placed first in the Western Conference and now holds the record for the most wins and points by an expansion team in Major League Soccer history.
I'm immensely proud. I'm excited to be part of this from, when it started to now, and watching the growth, not only within watching the team build, but also our supporter section.
SDFC plays their first ever postseason game Sunday evening at Snapdragon Stadium to kick off a best-of-3 series. As for Wave FC, the National Women's Soccer League playoffs are scheduled to begin in early November. Fans of both teams are expecting lively atmospheres for any home games.
We have people that are chanting all game long. We have drummers like myself. We have people that are waving flags. We have people that are blowing bubbles. We have people in costumes.
Alex Godinez is a member of the Wave supporters group called the Sirens. He also happens to be Bejarano's husband, noting they're quite the soccer family. Godinez says having two pro soccer teams in town has brought the community together.
San Diego was a soccer city even before we had teams. So the fact that we have two professional teams in this city has been amazing, and people are just so excited to be able to attend these games and see these superstars really performing in front of us.
San Diego FC hopes to become the first expansion club to win the MLS Cup since 1998. Wave FC is shooting for their first NWSL championship. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
For more on San Diego's soccer playoff chances, you can check out today's episode of KPBS Roundtable. Listen now at kpbs.org or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
As we head throughout the weekend, you're going to hear a lot about, especially on Saturday, the risk of severe weather here across parts of the southern plains and the Gulf Coast. East Texas will see an elevated risk of tornadoes there Saturday afternoon. In addition to that, we'll see a big warm-up across the northern plains, still tracking heavy rainfall, flooding, and snow across the higher elevations in the northwest, and then across the East Coast. Cooler air along the mid-Atlantic, and even some rain chances returning to New England. But overall, across the southwest and southern California, a dry and overall quiet weather pattern here shaping up. Heading into tonight, overnight lows will dip into the 60s, some clouds near the coast as the sun is coming up, but overall a mild start. Across the rest of the region, we'll see temperatures mainly a mix of 40s, 50s. We'll even see some 60s here for overnight lows across some areas. 56 tonight for Oceanside. Across the region, you can see the rainfall will stay to the north primarily. We'll see some cloud coverage here as the sun's coming up. It'll last throughout the early afternoon hours, but by about midday, we'll start to see that cloud coverage receding back to the ocean, but we're still going to be tracking some of that rainfall there up to the north, so heads up for that. Overall, it's going to be a dry forecast, but even as we head into Sunday, especially Sunday morning, look at all this rainfall with this atmospheric river across northern California. That's the setup, tracking heavy rainfall across central and northern parts of California, but overall, a dry forecast here off to the south heading throughout the weekend. Temperature-wise here for your Saturday, pretty nice. Temperatures will be a mix of 70s and 80s, so any outdoor plans, A-OK here across the region. Heading into Sunday, still tracking some of that rainfall to the north as the cold front approaches, but once again, if there's nothing on the map, that means that it's overall going to be a nice forecast here shaping up for us. Across the coast, highs in the 70s, lows in the 50s, lots of sunshine. Inland forecast, temperatures back in the upper 80s by about midweek next week. Along the mountain regions, we'll see 70s by about midweek. And then here for the deserts, we'll see 90s, mid-90s heading into next week as well.
Be sure to join us tonight for KPBS News This Week, where we revisit the most impactful and intriguing original reporting of the week. This week airs Friday at 8:30 right here on KPBS. This summer, we brought you the story of a local nonprofit ready to provide a single-family home to veteran women and their children. KPBS military reporter Andrew Dyer says families have now moved in, and Wounded Warrior Homes wants to do it again.
Navy veteran Emily Coleman was at a crisis point this summer.
I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna
finish school and make sure the kids are okay and make sure housing is okay.
She's a full-time nursing student and had to find housing for her and her 2 kids who are 8 and 10 years old. She thought about quitting school to make ends meet. She was at the VA looking for help when she saw a news story on the waiting room TV. A nonprofit called Wounded Warrior Homes had a single-family home to provide a veteran just like her.
And I applied. And this is our room.
Coleman and her kids moved into the Escondido home last month.
And the kids have tried to decorate it as best as we can.
She's doing fabulous. Her children like to tease me.
Rick Especia is the president and executive director of Wounded Warrior Homes. Right now, 2 veteran women share the home. Each has 2 kids. He says their success with these 2 families shows they can do more.
We're really happy, I think, with the success that we've had bringing these families along. And you know, we want to get more houses. We'll get the 2nd house. We'll get a 3rd house.
Coleman says her kids now have a peaceful place to call home. She's also learned something.
The military has taught me you have to figure it out on your own. And being in the program, and I've been here for almost a month and a half, asking for help doesn't make you weak.
Coleman's about to graduate with her nursing degree and already has a job lined up in another state, a place she says she and her kids can start over. Wounded Warrior Homes is getting closer to buying a second home for veteran women. But until then, Especia says they'll be looking for another family to move in early next year when Coleman's family moves on. Andrew Dyer, KPBS News.
And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.